Hey, welcome back to Prijon Talk. I got my buddy Chris Mays here, and we're going to talk about the Prijon LUV today. The Prijon LUV was released in 2000. It is 24 inches wide, it's 8 foot 1 inches long, and it has a volume of about 46 gallons, 47 gallons. So I've had this boat for a little over a year now. I've taken it all over Colorado, some Wyoming, and it's just a great boat. It was released in 2000, same era as kind of the centrifuges, the Fuji families, and this boat, you know, it's got some good river rash on it, but I mean, it's not even canned, and I ride this thing pretty hard. So we got full edges, and we're gonna do a little detailed walkthrough of the boat, touch on the outfitting, and just give you a close-up look of all these edges, and go from there. This is Chris's new boat. I'm selling it to him, so he's stoked to be taking this home at the end of the day. So, all right, so here we go. We're gonna start with the stern. The stern on this boat, it's got some generous rocker to it. It definitely is narrow. The sidewalls get really narrow really fast. But one of the best things I like about this boat is how wide the sidewall is right here, because when you get this thing on end, the secondary stability is great. It just locks you in, you get that crunch. This pod right here, it's nice and wide back here, so it really slices well into the current. And the added length is just really stable. We got a nylon grab handle here, serial number of course. And then moving on to the bottom of the stern, it comes to a nice point, but it's not too sharp and it's not too thin. I still got texture on the bottom here, so this boat has lots of life left. It does take that kind of like notchy stern profile like you see in some of the Dagger boats, some of the Piranhas. Very notchy, but it tapers well. And the sidewall here has a nice slope to it. It stays up in a wave when you're side surfing, and it tapers very nicely to where you can stall. Now this boat isn't as slicey as the Delirious, and we'll be comparing the two in a moment here, but I found for that higher volume rivers, this boat, I feel very comfortable in it.
What Cole was talking about with the volume here and here on the stern of the boat, if you look at something like an Antics 2.0 or the Home Slice or the Ozone, all that volume's been moved to right in here, sort of like the Mr. Clean from Perception into this big like stability bump. Having them out here gives you a little bit more side to side stability when you're vertical. And coming forward, they actually took some things that you might see on like a creek boat, which are these little cutouts right here, and then if you come around,
it sheds water so nicely.
Yeah, it sheds water off of the divot on the cockpit rim where the coaming meets the shell meets the rest of the boat. The front of it has this really scooped in concave piece to the bow, and all of that is just to catch water. It makes this boat pretty good for plowing and then standing it up on end vertically, or just for catching it to initiate like a cartwheel.
But it's wide too. It doesn't sacrifice any width. You know, it stays wide all the way from your hips into the bow here, and allows for a little bit longer legged paddler. All right, so here we go. We got that 2000 era Prijon outfitting. Got the pleasure pod, bow. It's kind of foamed out in there. You know, the edges don't really dig into your feet. And that's what I love so much about these Prijon full slice boats. Compared to, you know, some of the hard edge boats like the Centrifuge and the XXX, they really just dig into the side of your feet. And that's not the case on these Prijon boats. The edges are soft and they taper to where your feet are, it's not super aggressive. So let's flip it on over, Chris, and we'll talk about the bottom. Cool. So yeah, we have a pretty symmetrical boat here. The edges taper at about the same area as far as the bow and the stern goes. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, I love the shape of the sidewall, how it convexes out like that. Chris, what are some highlights that you like about the bottom of this boat?
I'm a big fan of the planing surface and then a stepped edge with some in-cut, but not really aggressive. This isn't a super sharp edge.
It's not very sharp. You can see where I've dinged it up.
Yeah, but it's just rounded off the natural shape a little bit rather than getting scored and played out, if you will. So I like how it comes pretty curved and smooth to the sidewall. A hallmark of a lot of modern designs, Piranha especially, is kind of this trapezoidal corner that creates an edge, and Prijon does that on many of their boats as well, but on this one they've really rounded out the sidewall so that it doesn't have a super flat surface right here where you might be trying to roll it across this surface lengthwise.
Yeah, and it's nice to bring that up. The machine, I found, is way more rigid. I mean, you could just stand it up on its sidewall compared to this is a softer edge. And this boat is just a dream to surf. I mean, it's very fast. The water line is long. So another huge advantage to this boat is the height of the knee bumps compared to all the Prijon full-size boats that I have in my possession, which is just about all of them besides the Alien. It's definitely the highest. So it allows you to get your knees up and away from each other. This boat's really comfortable. I paddled it with a Jackson Happy Seat, which is an inflatable pouch that you put underneath your knees. So super comfortable boat, and it's going to allow for a bigger paddler to enjoy it, and it's going to its new home. So
real quick,
goodbye.
One of the things that it does have that are actually really nice are these in-molded thigh hooks. So this rim all the way around here is a piece that Prijon rivets in to reinforce their cockpit coaming, and you'll see it on other boats from the early 2000s as well, Eskimos and some Perceptions, that they molded in these thigh hooks, much like Waka, Exo, Jackson, and several other companies are doing now. And these thigh hooks are great because they're smooth. So the plastic's pretty well contoured, but your knees don't stick to it. And it lets you grip when you want it, but also lets you slip out.
It's not suffocating at all.
Yeah, it's really not suffocating. It's really not a trapped feeling.
Yeah, so there we go. That's the interior of the LUV. Thanks for watching this episode of Prijon Talk. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more